What's going on, guys? It's another episode here of Nolan's Pod. Again, NBA playoffs. Tuesday, I had a question for you guys. My question to you guys was, who is in more trouble? Is it the New York Knicks in their series with the Indiana Pacers, or was it the Minnesota Timberwolves in their series against the Denver Nuggets? So who was in more trouble? I asked you guys that Tuesday. The New York Knicks or the Minnesota Timberwolves? And I gave you the answer on Tuesday before the game was played Tuesday night. My answer was the Minnesota Timberwolves are in more trouble because the first two games of that series, they went to Denver and they beat the crap out of Denver and they took home court advantage away from Denver. They went back home. They didn't play the same. They did not play the same. Very lackadaisical play, I could say. Very nonchalant, and they didn't play with a sense of urgency when the Timberwolves went back home. So I told you guys that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be in more trouble than the New York Knicks. I knew that the Knicks were going to be okay because even though they won those first two games at home and then they went to Indiana and lost those last two games, I knew the Knicks were going to be okay because they were going back home for Game 5. And they were going to have the whistle on their side. And they're playing back at home at the Garden, which is loud and rowdy, full of Knicks fans, of course. So I said that the Knicks were going to be okay, which they were. And no disrespect to the Indiana Pacers, but they are a way more easier opponent than what the Denver Nuggets is to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I knew the Knicks were going to be all right. Obviously, in that Knicks game, though, we're going to start right there. It wasn't really much of a game. The Knicks came out and did what we all thought they were going to do. We all thought they were going to bounce back since they were going back home, and lo and behold, they really did bounce back. Like I said, not really much of a game. Indiana, very disappointing in Indiana specifically because they got off to a good start in that first quarter, and then kind of that second quarter, middle of that second quarter, going to halftime, it seemed like it just kind of just got away from them, which it did. It wasn't no kind of, it did get away from them. Some of the stats for these Indiana Pacers players: Pascal Siakam, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 from 15 from the field, 2 for 3 from long range. That's Pascal Siakam-like numbers. Miles Turner was a bright spot too with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 from 12 from the field, and 4 from 7 from long range for Miles Turner. He had an impact in that third quarter. Beginning that third quarter, coming out of halftime, Miles Turner hit 2 huge threes, and that forced Thibodeau to call timeout because the Knicks lead was cut down to 7, and Thibodeau had to call a quick timeout to kind of stop the momentum. And then after Thibodeau called that timeout, the Knicks came out of that timeout and they finished the job in the rest of that third quarter and the rest of the game on. Andrew Nembhard had 11 points, 11 points for Andrew Nembhard, 4 from 10 from the field, and 2 from 3 from downtown from Andrew Nembhard. Neesmith had 8 points. Ben Shepherd had 6 points, and he had 2 threes. The one adjustment that Rick Carlisle made after game 1 and 2, he put Aaron Neesmith on Jalen Brunson. The first 2 games of the series, game 1 and 2, Rick Carlisle had Andrew Nembhard on Jalen Brunson. And no disrespect to Andrew Nembhard, but he can't stop Jalen Brunson. He's not going to stop Jalen Brunson. That was a bad matchup from the start. I don't know why Rick Carlisle didn't start Aaron Neesmith on Jalen Brunson earlier in the series in game 1 and game 2. I don't know why he waited to make that adjustment in game 3 and game 4. Aaron Neesmith is a much more physical and bigger defender, and he will frustrate Jalen Brunson, which he has in his series, but Jalen Brunson is still putting up Jalen Brunson type numbers. He is not called Big Body Brunson for no reason. And again, last night, or the other night, I should say, Rick Carlisle went back to Andrew Nembhard guarding Jalen Brunson, which Aaron Nesmith, he was in a little bit of foul trouble, but I'll still take my chances. Even though Aaron Nesmith's in foul trouble, I still take my chances with Aaron Nesmith guarding Jalen Brunson instead of Andrew Nembhard, who's not the kind of perimeter defender that Aaron Nesmith is. And it automatically came back and bit the Indiana Pacers in the butt because really can't nobody guard Jalen Brunson. TJ McConnell has guarded Jalen Brunson in this series, and Jalen Brunson has had success against TJ McConnell in this series. You know, TJ McConnell he's somebody that you love to have on your team, but when you competing against him, he makes you want to punch him in the face. But he's a pest out there, and literally, he's a real pest. That he hasn't even been able to stop Jalen Brunson, and sometimes he has, and sometimes they got physical, but he's not able to shake Jalen Brunson's head, is what I'm saying. So that automatically came back and beat the Pacers in the butt by having Andrew Nembhard on Jalen Brunson again. One thing that I'm noticing about the Indiana Pacers, in this series, each time they've lost in this series, which they've lost 3 games in this series, Tyrese Halliburton and those 3 losses in this series have been a non-factor. Now we know that Tyrese Halliburton's a star in his own right, which he is. But in these 3 losses they had in the series, Tyrese Halliburton has been nowhere to be found. And even if you do go out losing Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton, you have to be a factor, win, lose, or draw. If y'all lose, you have to still be a factor. Y'all cannot lose, and Tyrese Halliburton, which is nowhere to be found, because when y'all have won the 2 games in this series, Tyrese Halliburton has had spectacular numbers. Now, I don't know if it's playing at the Garden and he's just not comfortable, and it's a different vibe. The crowd is New York. You're on the big stage. It might have something to do with that, but the 2 wins that they have at home, Tyrese Halliburton has shined bright like a diamond. So when y'all losing Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton, you got to still show up and do your thing. I think Indiana's going to win Game 6 because they're going back home, and I think this series is going to go to Game 7. And I guarantee you, Game 6 tomorrow night, I guarantee you that Tyrese Halliburton's going to show up. He better. The season's on the line. If you lose this game, your season's over with. So Tyrese Halliburton, you don't really have a choice but to show up. I expect you to show up because y'all going back home, and you showing up the 2 games that y'all played at home when y'all have won in this series. Going to the Knicks, Isaiah Hartenstein, 7 points, 17 rebounds. Half of those rebounds was offensive rebounds from Isaiah Hartenstein. Deuce McBride, 17 points, 7 from 15 from the field, 3 from 7 from long range, and he had 4 assists. Now, Tom Thibodeau did make a lineup change. He replaced Precious Achiuwa and put Deuce McBride in the starting lineup, and that obviously worked out well for the Knicks. Josh Hart, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 7 from 16 from the field, and 2 from 7 from long range. Josh Hart had one of those Josh Hart type games. In Game 3 and 4, Josh Hart was really nowhere to be found. He had a bounce back game. Dante DiVincenzo has been real hot in this series. He's struggled over the last 2 games. He only had 8 points in this game, 4 from 14 from the field, 0 from 6 from long range. He had 17 rebounds and 4 assists. He didn't even get into double figures with his point score, but that was okay because the Knicks got away with it because they won and they blew out the Indiana Pacers. Alec Burks off the bench, 18 points, 6 from 11 from the field, 5 from 8 from long range. Being that the New York Knicks have had these injuries, Alec Burks has had to step in off the bench and do his thing. And in the last 3 games, Alec Burks has been a bright spot coming off the bench in this series. So Alec Burks has kind of changed the series in a way. Big body Jalen Brunson, 44 points, 18 from 35 from the field, 2 from 6 from long range, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and as I mentioned, 44 points for Jalen Brunson. As I said, nobody can stop him. And if you're going to put Andrew Nembhard on him, it's going to be game over all day long. Jalen Brunson's going to kill him. I expect Rick Carlisle to go back to Aaron Nesmith, and hopefully Aaron Nesmith does not get in foul trouble in his game, so he can guard Jalen Brunson and be as physical as he wants to. The offensive rebound disparity was, my God, the Knicks have been a good rebounding team all year long. The offensive rebounds was 20-5. That's how much Indiana got out rebounded on the offensive rebound, 20-5. That means that the Knicks got the offensive rebound and they had several extra possessions to capitalize if they didn't make a basket. The defensive rebound, the Knicks out rebounded the Indiana Pacers by 9, 33-24. Indiana, y'all got to get rebounds. Y'all cannot let the New York Knicks get all these offensive rebounds. That's one thing that hurts y'all. Y'all keep letting them get all these offensive rebounds and second chances. And if y'all do that, it's going to be hard to beat the Knicks. The turnovers were 18-9. Indiana had 18 turnovers. The Knicks had 9. Indiana, 18 turnovers is inexcusable. You cannot have 18 turnovers in the playoff game. The Knicks are going to capitalize off of turnovers. They did capitalize off turnovers in this game. The Knicks' biggest lead, they led by 31 in this game. The score ended up being 121-91. Indiana Pacers, y'all have work to do. Y'all know that. But I do believe that y'all are going back home for Game 6 and that y'all going to turn this thing around and force a Game 7. Y'all don't have a choice. Y'all need to force Game 7 or your season's over with. Transitioning to the next series. I told you that the Minnesota Timberwolves were in more trouble than the New York Knicks. Lo and behold, I was right. The Timberwolves did not have Mike Conley in this game. He had some Achilles soreness, so they held him out of this game. If you do not know how crucial Mike Conley is, you just learned that the other night, that he is really crucial to what the Minnesota Timberwolves do, and he was really crucial to their success this season. Not having Mike Conley put a lot of pressure on Ant-Man, especially ball handling, and on top of that, Ant-Man was getting double teamed. So it put a lot of pressure on Ant-Man to make something happen. I hope that Mike Conley is able to play tonight. I hope so. I really do hope so, because they need him. Ant-Man needs him. He is going to be crucial if he plays tonight. Jaden McDaniels had 9 points, 4 from 9 from the field, 1 from 3 from long range. They wanted Jaden McDaniels to be more aggressive on the offensive end, which he is more than capable of being aggressive on the offensive end. But when you have to guard Jamal Murray and guard all the other guys on the Denver Nuggets, that takes away from your offensive game because you spend so much time with your energy guarding these guys. Rudy Gobert had 18 points, 11 rebounds, and was 7 from 7 from the field. Y'all need to stop the Rudy Gobert slander. I know he's the Defensive Player of the Year, and I know you guys are giving him a hard time about he can't guard Joker. Nas Reed can't guard Joker. Cat can't guard Joker. Rudy Gobert can't guard Joker. AD couldn't guard Joker. Nobody in the league can guard Joker. Joker's a 3-time MVP for a reason. Nobody can guard Joker. Stop this Rudy Gobert slander that Joker's just killing him. Yes, Joker's killing him. Joker has killed everybody in the league this year. Nobody can guard Joker. I know that Rudy's the Defensive Player of the Year, that he just got that award for like the third time this year. For like the third time in his career, But nobody can guard Joker. Stop slandering Rudy Gobert. Because if it was you out there, you wouldn't be able to guard Joker either. Draymond, you're talking trash on the TNT. Joker has put up his numbers on you too, so you have no room to talk either. Stop the Rudy Gobert slander. Karl Anthony Towns had 23 points, 10 from 19 from the field, 2 from 5 from three-point range, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Cat had a bounce-back game, which we all expected him to do. They know that they need Cat. Cat knows that he needs them. Cat, you need to have another good game tonight. And Cat, you need to be the one that guards Joker. No, you're not going to stop Joker. No, anybody's not going to stop Joker. But when Cat is on Joker, that takes Rudy Gobert to Aaron Gordon, which he could stop the Denver Nuggets from giving Aaron Gordon those easy lobs that Aaron Gordon gets if Rudy is on Aaron Gordon. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was forced in the starting lineup because Mike Conley was hurt. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 14 points, 5 from 12 from the field, 4 from 8 from long range with 5 assists. Naz Reid only had 7 points, and he did not hit a three-pointer. Naz Reid, I told you the last game, you needed to step up. You're the 6th man of the year. You need to play like one. He did not play like one in Game 5. Naz Reid, you're 6th man of the year. They need you. I told you last game, you need to have at least 18 to 20 points. 18 to 20 points, and you only had 7. Ant-Man was getting double-teamed because he had to do most of the ball handling because Nickeil Alexander-Walker, even though he's point guard, he's not really the ball handler type, and he's not really the pass-first guard. So Ant-Man had the ball in his hands, and they double-teamed Ant-Man every chance they got. Took the ball out of his hands every chance they got. Ant-Man was patient, though. He was really patient. He got 9 assists, 18 points, 5 from 15 from the field, and 1 from 5 from long range. Holding Ant-Man to 18 points is tough to do, especially with the kind of role that he's been on lately. So that's what I'm saying. Missing Mike Conley was crucial because Mike Conley's another ball handler. The ball's going to be in Mike Conley's hands to play make, and it takes the pressure off of Ant-Man. I hope Mike Conley plays tonight. I really hope he does. Aaron Gordon for the Denver Nuggets had another great game. 18 points, 7 from 14 from the field, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. And he's getting the ball up the court instead of having Jamal Murray bring the ball up the court. Aaron Gordon's been the point guard in his series, and that has helped the Denver Nuggets tremendously take the pressure off of Jamal Murray and Joker of bringing the ball up the floor. If Aaron Gordon is having a great game, which he has the last 3 or 4 games in this series, the Minnesota Timberwolves have no chance. Aaron Gordon is not a scorer. He's been a scorer in this series, and he's hit his threes in this series, which is something that he is not accustomed to doing. If he's doing that, the Minnesota Timberwolves have no chance. He's done that the last 3 games in this series, and the Minnesota Timberwolves have won none of those 3 games. Michael Porter Jr. is still in his slump. He had 6 points, 2 from 10 from the field, 2 from 7 from long range, and 7 rebounds. At some point, MPJ is going to have to get going. But that was offset by KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's great performance with 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 from 8 from the field, and 4 from 5 from long range. Jamal Murray had 16 points, 4 assists, 7 from 14 from the field. Reggie Jackson had 6 points, and he was 3 for 3 from the field. Christian Braun came off the bench with 10 points, 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from long range. 5 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Joker had a performance for the ages with 41 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds, 15 from 22 from the field, and 2 from 3 from long range. And in that third quarter, he really turned it on. I think he had 16 points total alone in that third quarter. So he really gave Rudy Gobert the business, but you still need to stop the slander on Rudy Gobert because nobody can stop Joker. He got MVP in that game, which was Game 5. They awarded him MVP that same night, that same game. You think he wasn't going to try to put on an MVP type performance the night he was awarded MVP? Come on now, stop it. The biggest lead in this game, the Denver Nuggets led by 18. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they were fighting, but they just could not get over the hump. And oh man, it goes back to Game 6. The Minnesota Timberwolves, y'all have no choice but to win this game or y'all season is over. Make Cat guard Joker. That way it limits Rudy Gobert from having to guard Joker, and he could be the help man. He could be the help man. And he can guard Aaron Gordon, which takes away those lobs that they like to do to Aaron Gordon. Rudy Gobert could defend that. Mike Conley is needed. I cannot stress this or say this enough. Mike Conley is needed. Ant-Man needs him. Ant-Man needs him. because Ant-Man needs him to handle the ball, and that takes the pressure off of Ant-Man, and that takes away the double team that Ant-Man was seeing. They probably double teamed Ant-Man more in this game than they have at any point in this series. So I told you guys that the Minnesota Timberwolves were in trouble. They now lost 3 straight. They now don't have a choice but to win Game 6 tonight on their home floor. The Denver Nuggets came back and won a game on their home floor, and that was this last game. Minnesota Timberwolves, y'all need to finally win a home game in this series tonight. Y'all need to win a home game. Y'all don't have a choice. Can't stress it enough. I think Ant-Man's going to have a bounce-back game. I think Cat's going to have one of his best performances of the postseason tonight. And that's banking on if Mike Conley plays tonight. All depends on Mike Conley, seriously. That's all I have for you guys today. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you guys think the Minnesota Timberwolves will force Game 7, or does the Denver Nuggets go to the Western Conference Finals for the second straight year.